Anyways, though, we do have maybe these shows will be better off no marijuana. Right now, I'm still withdrawing. They say marijuana doesn't have withdrawals. Yes, it does. And no, it's not from just the nicotine in the wraps that I roll it up in. Because I take nicotine pouches and I'm still fiending to get high. So it's definitely they're putting something in that shit. But I mean I abused it. I mean I literally will go out there if I don't have to do anything. I could sit out there for hours and just roll up all day and just smoke weed. But yeah, we got a lot of shit. We got a couple things to talk about. I know I haven't released. I probably will release this full one, but I definitely have missed out on putting out some of the full length videos to YouTube. I know what did I not put out? I didn't put out last week's. That was the one with the pole shift. And then I put out the one that was before that had to do with the rods of God and fishback and everything. I put that one out, and then the one before that I didn't put out. I know I skipped a couple probably decent videos that probably would have done good. I probably would be higher up in the YouTube rankings. I probably would have a couple more views and subscribers, but I'm super busy even outside of this. I'm in school right now, so I'm slow. I'm not taking. I'm not a full time, but I'm taking a couple classes and just grinding that along just to have as a backup because they could shut the lights off on this at any time. Anytime they could shut this off. So I can already tell I'm clearing my throat a lot less because I know when I get high, I'm constantly clearing my throat. I don't know, maybe the mucus gets loose from the warm smoke. I think that's what it is. So maybe my mucus is just firm and tight. I don't have to clear my throat. It's just sitting in there. Pro tip, if you didn't know, to get rid of mucus, there's a plant called molanin. I think I'm saying that right. You can buy them capsules and take those capsules and they'll loosen up your mucus so when you'll end up coughing it out, or when you blow your nose more will come out. Look up molanin. Also, in the future, I might go over some health things that can maybe spin and help your situation. I don't want to say I'm the reason that I've cured someone's cancer, but there was someone that came to me and said, "Hey, my girl got breast cancer, tumors all over her boobs. What can I do?" And this was before I was making videos. And I told him, I gave him a remedy. I said, "Listen, you got to starve the tumors." So I sent him a video about a guy talking about how he gave turkey tail, which is a mushroom, to his mom, and it ended up getting rid of like her end stage cancer, and she went back to the doctor, and everything was gone. So I told him, "Listen, go and get turkey tail. Now you can get them in capsule form, or you can get the actual mushroom itself and then grind it up and put it in a tea, or make your own mushroom tea." So he ended up getting that. And then I told him also about fasting, 3-day fasts, water only, sunlight, massive amounts of sunlight, go to the beach as much as you possibly can. Get in the salt water and just bake in the sun and cut out sugars. And then also he made her blends, vegetable blends, juice blends. And it's pretty much all out of her body. She's better now. So I do know certain remedies. Pretty much anything that's bad biologically to your body, there's something out there that's growing in the forest that can cure it. More times than not. Now, of course, no, it doesn't save everyone. Because if I did read right, I'm pretty sure Steve Jobs tried to go the route I'm talking about and still ended up dying. I know he dodged. He didn't want to get any of the top medical treatments. and he was going to go the holistic route and still ended up dying. So no, I'm not saying it's 100%. There's a 100% cure rate, but there's definitely shit out there. Get on if you have something wrong with you, get out there on the internet and try to find a holistic way to go upon it. Now, yes, sometimes like I'm pretty sure skin cancer is one of those things that you're going to have to go and get chemo and radiation for. But there is like tumor-based cancers there's definitely shit out there that can shrink them. And I wouldn't recommend going and getting those things popped open and seeing what's inside of it, because a lot of times people will go and get their tumors checked out, and next thing you know, cancer is riddled all throughout their body and they die within the next couple of months just from getting it tested and finding out what it is, because they do have to get inside of it and bust it open. So I would try to go the holistic way before you do that. This is just my opinion. All right, let's get into it. So Amy Eskridge. Amy Eskridge allegedly committed suicide. She was an anti-gravity researcher who grew up in Huntsville, Alabama, where her father worked as a plasma fusion propulsion engineer at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center. She claims her father, Richard Eskridge, is one of 5 known by the NSA to have independently discovered anti-gravity. During her last interview, she went rogue and started naming people and locations while she was drunk and high. She said, "Disclosure is going to come out of Huntsville, Alabama, out of Redstone Arsenal. Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville, Alabama is the biggest deal that you've never heard of," quote unquote. Now, the rumor is, without going into too much detail, is that Werner von Braun, head of the German Nazi rocket program, and other German scientists set up shop there in the late 40s and early 50s, which is what we know today as Operation Paperclip. Many believe the German scientists figured out zero-point energy and even made a craft called Die Glock, aka the bell. And it just so happens to be that Trump decided to move the Space Force to Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville, Alabama. So you got all this high advanced space technology coming out of this specific area. So I guarantee in that town there's probably a lot of foreign spies, undercover people that work for other foreign intelligence agencies that roam around there. So that's probably not a safe spot to be for a lot of these scientists. Months before she died, she was talking about this in a text message. She said she went to the dentist and they pulled up her insurance and it said she worked for a tech company in Israel. She believes that the Israelis were trying to access her dental records. Soon after, she said she met a guy for the first time and let her know a bunch of people have been watching her for a very long time. He ended up telling her some of her private information about her life to prove his point. She said he ended with telling her she has something between her L3 and L4 vertebrae. She then requested her old medical records after, and there was something actually there that she didn't know of before, and the doctor didn't even know about. So she went back and double-checked, and there was something there. She claims she did a background check on the man that came up to her, and he was an Israeli. He had multiple vice president positions at multiple shell companies owned by George Soros, and all of those companies shared the same street address as the office for the Soros Fund Management Office in New York, even down to the same suite number. Also, while she was working on her computer, she believed she was shot by a direct energy weapon through her window. She took a picture of her hands and the window she was sitting in front of, and the burns lined up perfectly with the table she was sitting at, and the window had an outline around her head. So she believed, she was saying she was basically, they were cooking her. They were cooking her insides while she was working on all this. In the text messages, she said, quote unquote, "Getting hit with military-grade sci-fi weapons is pretty tiresome." And Amy claims the reasoning for this is because she was about to publish her best work, something that had to do with Element 115, and that she fully cracked the code, and that Bob Lazar was close, but he didn't have it correct, which is probably one of the reasons he's allowed to go on all these podcasts and talk about whatever, because he doesn't have the correct. He has some of the information, but it's not the pieces. You can't take what he says and put those pieces together and build a craft, which is probably why he's still a walking man. Amy has claimed multiple times she would never kill herself under any circumstances. She even mentioned that if she died by her own gun, that it was not her. And that's exactly what happened. And that's because she knew her time was coming. She talked about how she's came home and all of her panties were on the ground. Nothing else. Just her panties. And that she was even having voices in her head telling her to take her own life. She claims also the voices were telling her to head over to the barn in her yard at night. And this would happen multiple times throughout the week. They were trying to lure her outside and possibly set up a suicide. Other scientists she worked with claimed they had the same thoughts in their head to end it all, but they would always tell her to fight through it and don't give in. That's not what you're actually thinking. Are they using sci-fi weapons on these scientists? Are they making these scientists go crazy? Are these scientists actually killing themselves? Are they putting the voices in these scientists' head and then that's the reason they're killing themselves? Hey, that's up for debate. Here's something that's a little bit alarming. Amy gave a public talk on anti-gravity and advanced propulsion, purportedly seeking scientists and new investors. And if you watch the video, the man recording says, "What about the innovators who are disappearing?"
I've thought about that. the combination of the private and the public-private institution, and then kind of working with the Blacker budget.
A quote from Griffin.
A quote from Griffin.
NASA is no longer by any means a research organization.
What about the innovator who's afraid of disappearing?
That's a whole nother problem. I think doing it in the public is better in that case. But that's a different.
It still doesn't mean it won't disappear. Even if you do it in the public, it still don't mean that the inventor won't disappear for lots of reasons.
Like Ming Lee.
Some people think that that possibly could have been a warning or basically to scare her. So rest in peace, Amy. Sad to see. I did see one of her friends was talking about how when they found her, the gun was in her non-dominant hand. And I'm pretty sure a high percentage of self-inflicted gun wounds, when you X yourself, the gun's going to be in your dominant hand. And it was in her non-dominant. There was no autopsy, and she believes that there was a lot of intelligence around after her death. Let's keep the ball rolling onto the next segment. Trump has made it very clear he is not a Christian.
My beautiful Christians, I love you Christians, I'm not Christian.
Many people before his second term believed he was. Several Jewish rabbis are proclaiming Trump as modern-day King Cyrus, a non-Jewish Messiah. King Cyrus is the person who helped them rebuild their land after the 70-year exile. He let them go back to Israel and rebuild the temple that the Babylonians destroyed. And to stamp this, there's a coin in Israel that has Trump and Cyrus's face. The back of the coin reads in Hebrew, "He charged me to build a house in Jerusalem," which means God told him to do so. I don't know if you remember the Butler shooting, but his right ear was pierced. In Revelation 13:3, one of its heads seemed to have a mortal wound, but its mortal wound was healed, and the whole earth marveled as they followed the beast. So this is all connected to religious prophecy. You can find the entire world script from religious text. So many Jews believe that Trump was anointed by God to help Israel build the third temple. But here's the problem. They can't rebuild the third temple right now because the Al-Aqsa Mosque is in that location. which is the third holiest site in all of Islam. Here's the thing. Once you see that mosque get destroyed, that is when the last war will start. At first, the Christians and Muslims will fight, and then eventually turn on the perpetrators once they realize they have been deceived, which will then usher their Messiah, which is the Christian Antichrist. This war will escalate because it's designed to, making the prophecies appear true. And it will lead to a world war and a global reset under the new economic system of technocracy. Technocracy is the idea that society should be governed by technical experts, aka the rich and powerful. People like Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Sam Altman, your technology guys. And here's the connection. Elon Musk's maternal grandfather, Joshua N. Haldeman, he was a prominent leader in the technocracy movement during the 1930s and the 1940s. And he was pushing that political movement, and that advocates for replacing politicians and business leaders with scientists and engineers and technologists. And that's to run a data-driven, quote-unquote, highly efficient society. So that's what they're going to usher in after this last world war. The war is viewed by both Christians and Jews as the final battle that fulfills their respective end-time scripts. This third world war, this is a religious war. Yeah, that's what's coming upon us. I believe it's that 2030 agenda. So, but they have to do this before Trump gets out of office. He's their guy. Okay, he's their Cyrus. So I this isn't one of those things that I'm saying, oh, this might happen in 10, 20 years. If this doesn't happen while Trump is in office, then I don't see, maybe J.D. Vance might be able to usher it in. I don't think Gavin Newsom is going to be able to pull it off and get through. Just because how powerful the technocrats are, and they're behind J.D. Vance. Peter Thiel, that's Peter Thiel's guy. And you're talking about some of the most powerful people in the world. Now, yes, there are very powerful people behind Newsom. I'm sure there's it's all under the same umbrella. Maybe Newsom wins this, Vance comes in and continues. I don't know, but this has to happen while Trump is in office. So GGs, and people wonder why I don't subscribe to religion. This is it right here. This is my point right here. I believe in a divine God. Other than that, keep me out of it. I don't want to hear it. Even if I'm wrong. This is all it is. They want to kill each other. And everyone's just lost. It's sad to see. So the rumor is there's a secret cloud seeding and weather modification center in the UAE, Saudi Arabia. And right after Iran took it out, everything flipped overnight. Iraq and Iran suddenly get heavy rain every single week now. Temperatures even dropped a full 5 degrees, which is a massive shift. Iran's devastating drought is over. It was getting so bad that they were about to move the capital, Tehran, because of the water shortage. But now they don't need to. Now, some think that the center that they blew up is a research center, they say. But the rumor is it was designed to destroy agriculture and livestock in Iran and Iraq by triggering artificial drought and desertification. And back in 2011, the former president of Iran, Mohammed Ahmadinejad, however you say his name, but the former president in 2011, he claimed Western countries are using high-tech equipment to drain the clouds of raindrops. And then in 2018, the Iranian war general blames the drought on Israeli cloud theft. Now, it is documented that we have turned weather into a weapon. There was a strategic mission that weaponized the weather into Vietnam called Operation Popeye. And that's where we disrupted Vietnam military supplies from being delivered. So we've had this technology in the 60s, in the 40s, 50s, whenever it was. We had this technology back then. I can almost guarantee you the technology has only gotten better. So when they blew up this research center, did they knock the weather tech offline? Debatable. Because now their dams are overflowing and they have water and crops look like they're ready to bloom. I mean, there's other countries too that have been talking about how Western countries are using this to target other countries and not let them bloom agriculturally wise, keeping them low, not letting their crops, not letting them have a good crop, keeping the water down, not having rain. Shit can get spooky. All right, let's keep going. The World Economic Forum discussed how 9 out of 10 employees waste too much time throughout the day. So they created an earbud that tracks your brain waves and can tell if you're focusing on your work. So they'll know if you're distracted about your dog dying, or you had a flat tire and you're having a rough day, or you spilled coffee on your jeans and you're not fully focused as you would be another day. And they would know that, and that would become a problem. And this is what it will come down to if you want to work in the future. This dystopian type of society where they monitor every breath. Some think that this technology is even capable of redirecting you back on task. From what I've read about this technology is that it's capable of planting fake memories into your head, which can then get you to confess to a crime you've never committed. So I'll play the video from the World Economic Forum. Let's watch it.
Context, surveillance is part of our everyday lives. Surveillance for productivity is part of what has become the norm in the workplace, and maybe with good reason. 9 out of 10 employees waste time during the workday. They focus on other things. There may be good reasons why we want to be able to find better ways to monitor whether somebody is paying attention or they're doing something different. The newest way to monitor attention is through a device like this one. These are ear pods that are launching later this year. These ear pods, much like the video you watched earlier, are ear pods that can pick up brainwave activity and tell whether or not a person is paying attention or their mind is wandering. Okay, well, you might think, fine, but even if we can tell whether a person is paying attention or their mind is wandering, you can't tell what they're paying attention to. You would be wrong. It turns out that you can not only tell whether a person is paying attention or their mind is wandering, but you can discriminate between the kinds of things that they're paying attention to. Whether they're doing something like central tasks, like programming, peripheral tasks, like writing documentation, or unrelated tasks, like surfing social media or online browsing. When you combine brainwave activity together with other forms of software and surveillance technology, the power becomes quite precise. So what do we do with this? What do we do with technology that enables us to monitor brainwave activity for attention? Do we embrace it? Do we resist it? I believe that there is a pathway forward with such technology, but it's putting it in the hands of employees, enabling them to use it for themselves as a choice, whether or not they want to focus, whether or not they want the technology in order to improve their own performance, but not using it as a measure of their brain metrics to decide whether to fire them, hire them, or to watch for their lagging cognitive decline over time and using it as a way to discriminate against them. We might soon even use the technology to help people wake back up. This is a haptic scarf that MIT Media Lab has developed, which uses brainwave technology in a responsive way to give a person a little buzz, literally, when their mind starts to wander, to help them refocus and hone their attention. There's another pathway forward with the